Originium art is probably the coolest thing in Arknights. Let's get one thing out of the way: Originium art is not magic, it's science. The nature of Originium art is a widely discussed question with no clear answer, but we still have a basic idea of how it works. Originium arts involve the caster exerting influence on external matter through a medium, for example an arts unit. Or to put it into normal words, if you cast arts, you're a caster. The caster uses an arts unit, for example a staff. This arts unit receives and encodes the caster's neural activity and then releases it as energy, which then results in the desired effect. Concentrate, channel your arts, just picture it in your mind. To very oversimplify what I just said, you basically concentrate really hard and then your brain activity is gonna trigger the energy within an arts unit and cause the effect that you want. Again, this is very highly oversimplified. That's the basics of Originium arts though. You use your mind to manipulate the energy within a catalyst, for example a piece of Originium, and get some really cool stuff in return. The catalyst part is extremely important. A regular piece of Originium is usually enough, and the most interesting thing about this absolutely is that unironically everybody asterisk can learn how to use some very basic arts by just putting in enough of an effort. There are some notable exceptions to the word everybody here, but they are not relevant just yet. While just a piece of Originium may be enough, most casters use arts units or casting units as catalysts. Basic casting units can be found everywhere as regular mass-produced equipment. Modern arts units are the product of advances in both theory and industry. They work thanks to technology. An insanely important piece of tech that has to be mentioned here is the Originium circuit. This thing is what makes arts units work. It's a product with a bunch of complex energy conversion circuits at its core. Sadly, we don't have any blueprints or actual images of it, just be aware of the fact that it is there and also is very important. Another thing we gotta mention are the so-called universal Originium circuits. Sounds very similar to the other thing, but it's pretty different. They are just pieces of technology which have been loaded or charged with a couple of very basic Originium arts. Those arts charges can then basically be unleashed or used by the user of the universal Originium circuit. It essentially allows people to use basic arts even if they normally don't know how to cast. This can lead to some very cool stuff. The royalty of an empire that doesn't exist anymore used to wear brooches made out of gold that hide Originium circuits which are loaded with defensive arts, for example. Ah, the power of technology. But most casters we can find in the game seem to do arts the classic way, by just learning how to cast with an arts unit. Something interesting to note here: it is said that learning how to play an instrument can increase your arts affinity. It also has the potential to reduce the impact Oripathy has on your mind, but that's by the by. This is insanely interesting though, and we can speculate whether that's because the brain activity that's active while playing an instrument is the same one that's active when casting, or maybe it's just because playing an instrument helps you with concentration in general. We don't really know. Infected are capable of using the Originium in their bodies to cast their arts. The crystals in their body can be their catalyst, their arts unit, their staff. They stimulate those crystals directly through their nervous system, and since they don't have to rely on an actual physical staff for casting, it is basically impossible to stop an infected caster from casting. And even if an infected caster uses an arts unit, they can still use the crystals in their body to strengthen the arts which they cast through their casting unit. All of this is insanely dangerous though, as casting your arts through your own body is going to deteriorate your body even further and make your Oripathy infection stronger. Because of that, and because of the fact that infected with only a mild infection can't do it, there has to be quite a lot of Originium inside of you to bring up enough energy to cast. Even most infected casters will still use arts units. So that's the upside to being terminally ill in Arknights. You get cool powers and stuff. Don't pay any mind to the fact that you get a little bit closer to death every single time you use it. Regarding that, there's some really terrifying stories in Arknights about how some casters would capture and enslave individual or multiple infected and then use them as casting units, essentially turning their bodies into massive energy conversion circuits. Some nobles out there would take their subjects and slash their arms with Originium so that they could be used for that exact purpose. But modern science considers this to be unethical. They instead do research on safe medical implants for that exact purpose. So what are Originium arts? You use your mind to manipulate the energy found within Originium in order to do some crazy stuff. From what the game shows us, arts can do a lot of things. The most obvious one is of course a weaponization of it. Since ancient times, Originium and Originium arts have been used to wage war. A lot of research has been put into how to most efficiently use it for warfare. If you cross the barren lands of Terra, you are bound to find random groups of bandits who throw fireballs with the strength of a grenade or an RPG from our world. A skilled caster can destroy a building. 3 can suppress an entire city block. Then there's the polar opposite of that. Healing arts exist. They are not all powerful, though they usually are only capable of stopping bleedings or making wounds heal faster. Healing arts are tough. In order to properly cast them, thorough study of medical science and the anatomical differences between races is needed. It's most definitely not easier than being an actual doctor, and healing arts are absolutely no substitute for real medical skill at the surgery table. Then of course controlling others and things. Casters are capable of controlling low intelligence beasts like Originium slugs. Taming beasts like that has been a part of, for example, wasteland pioneering tactics since ancient times. Casters controlling creatures like these allows them to throw them into battle as cannon fodder. The drones you will find flying around also get operated through arts, which most likely are similar to the ones we just mentioned. They are equipped with long-range arts receivers and get directly operated by casters. It is said that flying remote drones does not require very difficult arts. That's some of the most basic arts you will come across, but my most favorite type of arts definitely are guns. Yes, you heard it here first, folks. Gun-type arts units. Firearms in Arknights are fundamentally different to firearms in our world. Technically, every firearm user you find in Arknights counts as a caster. Guns which don't require Originium arts don't exist. Bullets, the so-called etched bullets or etched ammunition, are powered by Originium gunpowder specifically. Every single bullet counts as an arts unit, and so does every single firearm. Yes, if you shoot a gun, you are using an arts unit inside of an arts unit every single time you pull the trigger. In order to use a firearm, the caster has to use their arts skills to stabilize the gun first. They should aim to feel a connection between their arm and the weapon's interior. Through that connection, they should reach out to the ammunition inside of the firearm chamber and then activate it. Pull the trigger and repeat the process. If you lose control of your arts during that process, though, the gun is likely to misfire and potentially get damaged. Firearms in Arknights are difficult to handle, the etched ammunition is very expensive, their maintenance is pretty complicated, and due to all of that, the vast majority of ranged weapons in Arknights are crossbows. It's unironically way easier and even more efficient to just take a crossbow and apply some arts to it or to the crossbow bolt. There is no reason to go through all of that complicated stuff if you just want to shoot somebody. Applying arts to a weapon is nothing really unusual. Melee fighters who are trained in Originium arts can use their skills in order to enhance their attacks. Some infected can even be found using the Originium in their bodies to make their weapons, which are also imbued with Originium, even stronger. You can't do that to every weapon out there though. It has to be a quality product made out of material which allows for good arts conductivity, like D32 steel for example. Arts resistant armor exists too, so does anti-Originium painting for regular armor and clothing. That paint is very dangerous though and should be handled with care. Everything we mentioned so far is more or less related to battlefield things though, right? The types of things your operators and your enemies use in-game, that obviously is not everything that it can do. There's a ton of characters in Arknights with very unique types of arts, and listing of everything that is possible with Originium arts is so far beyond the scope of this video that I'm not even gonna try. And with Originium, Oripathy and Originium arts, we have essentially talked about the biggest things that separate the world of Arknights from our world. Now, it's time to talk about that world. Next episode, Terra. Click on the left for a quick summary of Arknights Lore, click on the right for every single Arknights Lore video, click on the middle for the second channel, which has way more Arknights content. Shout out to Carousel Ava, Chris, Darfeldo Shit, Demoboy125, Elite117, Evin Heckler, Jimshot, First Kivinato, Lengonio, Savessa, and the Phoenix. Cheers!